Welcome to Mysteries, Myths, and Legends. I'm Taylor.
I'm Savannah.
And welcome to the show. Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy 2022.
It's 2022.
It's kind of crazy. I think I'm not used to it being 2022 yet because
Oh, no.
earlier or maybe it was yesterday, I think I said 2020 and I didn't
Whoa,
even notice
wow.
until
Oh, wow.
a few sentences later, you know.
Yeah.
It's just like a mouthful to say 2022.
2022. Yeah, it is. I just literally wrote down for the first time on paper right before we started recording 2022 for the first time. So I'm sure I'll get that wrong multiple times and have to like erase it or scribble it out.
Yeah, it's just like a yearly thing.
Yeah, it really is. But Happy New
January
Year.
vibe.
Yay. To 2022.
It's been, I think 2022 so far has been pretty rough, honestly, over here.
Yeah. It's been pretty
So,
normal. It's honestly, personally, it's been pretty normal
okay,
for me.
well, let me tell you my struggles a little bit, and then we can get into your fun because you've actually had like a good past
Yeah.
weekend.
Yeah.
But we had a crazy storm the other night, and it like the wind was blowing super hard. It was going crazy. I ended up waking up at like 4:30 in the morning
Oh.
because of the wind, and I like my fan was going, my ceiling fan, and I heard it turn off, and I was like, "Oh
Oh, the
no."
power. No.
Yeah. So the power was out, and then it ended up going back on like while I was at work the next day.
Mm-hmm.
But then yesterday it shut off again
Oh,
in
my
the
Lord.
evening. So yeah, I've had fun with some power outages.
That's so annoying. I only like power outages if I'm working or like doing something I don't want to be doing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but
Yeah.
both times I was like at home and had stuff I had to do.
Yeah. That sucks. Oh, that sucks so bad.
It's like
Well,
trying to get ready in the morning before work. I was like, I can't even get a shower because there's no hot water.
oh, oh, that's such a struggle.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's really that sucks. There was a really bad windstorm here yesterday too, actually, and we were like in tornado watch all day,
Oh,
but it
geez.
was fine. But over the New Year holiday, I actually went to Savannah, Georgia, for my friend's bachelorette trip, which was very super fun.
It looked like you guys had so much fun. Like, I
Yeah,
was jealous. I was
yeah,
like,
it was really so fun. And right before we left, obviously, if you guys have listened to all of our stories, you know that one of the very I don't remember what episode it is even. Already forgot. 19?
19.
Yeah, okay. So episode 19, we Savannah talked about the Bonaventure Cemetery and which is in Savannah. So while I was there, me and Dina took a little field trip to the cemetery, and it was first of all the biggest piece of land I've ever seen in my life. Like when I got there, I was like, there's no, first of all, I missed the turn. So I just like I drove for like 5 more minutes down this road, and it was still the cemetery. I could still see graves. And I was like, wow. And then, very long story short, I ended up getting a map from this lady. She was very nice. Shout out to her. She like does tours, but they were like only at certain hours, and like we had to leave. So, but she was like, I normally charge people for these maps, but since you guys are so nice, I'll give you one. So I could see like the whole map of the place. It's like over 9,000 acres. It's literally like a town of dead people, and it's so beautiful and so
That's
creepy.
insane. I'm so jealous that you got to go. We need to go
We
back.
have to. I really want to do like the golf cart tour. Like could have learned
Yes.
so much more. But yeah, me and Dina just walked to see Lil Gracie. If you listen to the episode, she was so creepy. Like so, like when I say so creepy, it just looks like the statue is like staring into your soul, because she is. So,
Yeah.
but it was super
You
fun.
left her a toy, didn't you?
I did leave her a toy because obviously, she wants you to do that. There was a lot of stuff there already, like for her too. Like a lot of people threw like coins and like money, not like dollars, but like coins. And there was a few other toys and flowers. And literally everybody that was in that park, I keep calling it a park. Everybody that was in the cemetery was at Lil Gracie's grave.
Oh,
Like,
really?
yeah, like everybody was just going there. But there was also so many other cool, like, tombstones and, like, buildings with stained glass. It was so pretty. And it's winter, so, like, there wasn't, like, too many flowers out. So I can't
Mm-hmm.
even imagine what it would be in the spring. So beautiful.
True. Yeah, I think we should go in the spring. That would
Yeah,
be
we definitely should. Because I
awesome.
definitely want
Because
to go back.
of like all the plants and stuff. It's probably so pretty.
Yes. It
I'm
was
like
very
jealous. You
fun.
had to go to two of the cemeteries that we've talked about
I
here.
know. I know. I be going places. What can
I
I
guess
say?
not me. Like, I don't know.
2022, we gonna be going places together.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
But
All
yeah,
right.
other than that, I was gonna say, other than Happy New Year, go rate and review us on Apple Podcast and Spotify, please.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't have anything else.
Yeah, no. I do actually have send us emails of things that you want us to talk about because this week I
Oh
actually have one
yes,
that somebody emailed us.
yes. Shout out
Um,
to them.
I didn't write down the name. I should have,
Tragic.
but you know who you are.
You do. Yes,
Um,
email us or DM us on Instagram if you have anything you want us to talk about because we're open to any and all suggestions.
yes, exactly. So this week I'm talking about the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum heist.
Oh, a heist. Okay. Never heard of that
Heist
in my.
slash robbery.
Oh,
Same thing.
okay. Okay, interesting. I've never heard of that.
Yeah. So the name sort of is like a mouthful.
Just a little.
It's let me just say it again. Isabella Stewart Gardner. It was her art collection. She
Makes
like
sense.
collected art all over her whole life and opened a museum. So yeah, the the robbery took place on March 18th of 1990,
Ooh.
and 13 works of art were stolen. And to this day, no one knows where any of them are or who took them.
No way. It was a successful heist. I wasn't expecting you to say that.
Yeah, and it's been since 1990. Like, they still don't know.
Wow. Yeah, that's a very long time. That's crazy. Shout out to them.
I mean, yeah, I
Honestly.
guess so. It's kind of crazy that they haven't found them yet, because some of the paintings and stuff I looked up, and usually, I mean, I don't know paintings by name, but like when I see them, I'm like, okay, that is a famous painting.
Yeah.
There's like one or two that were pretty famous.
Oh, that's really kind of
Um,
sad.
yeah, that like they're never gonna be seen again.
I mean, maybe they could find them.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's take a step back. The museum is in Boston, and it was founded, as I said, by art collector Isabella Stewart Gardner, who lived from 1840 to 1924. So this
Oh, yeah.
collection was, put together during that time. In her will, she said that the arrangement of art pieces should not be altered and no items should be sold or brought into the collection. So, like, this was like the final collection. She wanted it to stay like this forever.
That's sad.
Yeah. Yeah, it is really sad because it's like, then it was just, it's
No,
definitely been altered.
definitely.
So, let's go to the 1980s. The museum was starting to sorry, my my words. I'm stumbling over my words here. The museum was running low on funding, and the museum started to get into like poor condition. There
No.
wasn't really like climate control system,
Ooh.
which is heating and AC
Yeah.
and stuff. They needed maintenance and security upgrades. And what really pushed them to like start fixing a lot of these things was in 1982 there was a plot uncovered by the FBI that people were trying to steal stuff back then too.
What? Wow. So people
Yeah.
really wanted these paintings.
Yeah, like cuz I mean, if you think about it, like this museum had some really valuable stuff, but they weren't they didn't have the money to have security around it,
I
which
mean, yeah, that makes sense.
sucked.
It's a perfect place to rob. Not that I would do that, but
Yeah,
just saying.
yeah. Um, which is so weird because it's like you think these paintings are worth so much, then they
Right.
should have the money for it. But I guess, I don't know.
They were
They
struggling.
just didn't. Um, so after this plot was uncovered and, you know, found out by the FBI, they vamped up their security. They got 60 infrared motion detectors, a closed circuit TV system with like 4 cameras around the building,
Okay, so
but no
after it
cameras.
happened, they could afford it.
Well, in the one in 1982, they didn't, that never went through. Like nobody ever
Oh,
robbed
okay.
them. So this is like someone's about to rob you. So
True.
we're gonna like make it not happen.
Makes sense.
Um, so they had 4 cameras around the building with no cameras inside. And they hired more security guards. And they also put a button on the security desk that would call the police when you push it.
Just like in the movies, baby.
Yeah, exactly. Other museums at the time actually had better security than this. They had
Wow.
like a fail-safe system which like required security to make hourly phone calls to the police to
Yeah,
tell them everything was okay, but not this museum. They didn't do that.
yeah, that's really, first of all, I don't want to say stupid, but that is stupid. But like they needed the protection like from National Treasure. Have you seen that movie? Where they steal the
Yes.
Declaration of Independence and it's like this
Yeah.
whole thing.
Yeah.
That's the security it needed to have.
I know, honestly. That yeah. Yep. But this whole thing where I said there was like a fail-safe system where they would like call the police every hour. I feel like that's so much work. Like do museums really do that still?
I feel like there's no way because I mean there's just no way. Because with all the I feel like with all the crime in the world today, there's way more to worry about than paintings getting stolen.
Right.
I mean,
Like there's just like a whole department dedicated to like
you were the
making
lost
sure.
paintings department
Yeah.
or stolen paintings.
I don't know. Maybe I like read that wrong or something, but I don't know.
Yeah.
That's
Maybe if anybody has information, I would love to know the answer.
yeah. Um okay, and then in 1988, a security consultant reviewed the operations of the museum and they said that they were like on par with other museums, but they could definitely use improvements. So they weren't like terrible like at that time, but
Yeah.
you know,
Not good.
yeah, not amazing. And they could also probably pay their security guards more because they only paid like a little bit above minimum wage. So the guards weren't really like, you know,
They were working for what they were getting paid for. Yes, ma'am. I also live by
exactly.
that mantra, so
Exactly. Um, so yeah, the museum, I guess they were just like, we spent enough improving security. We don't need to, pay our people that much. But,
yeah.
they weren't fine. Spoiler.
Spoiler alert.
Okay, so let's get to the robbery. It occurred on March 18th, 1990. This was, March 18th, day after St. Patrick's Day. There were 13 works of art stolen. And the guards let in 2 men posing as police officers.
Oh no.
Yeah. So, okay, so let's go through this a little bit. The guards on duty that night were Rick Abeth. I think I'm saying that right. Rick,
Probably not.
he was 23, and Randy Heston. I'm just going to go with Rick and Randy because I know how to say this.
Rick and Randy, baby.
So Rick was 23 and Randy was 25. So if you just think about that for a second.
So they were us. Like you're Rick and
Right.
I'm Randy.
That's what I'm saying. And it was the older one, Randy, his first time on the night shift. So how they would like secure the place, what their like protocol for the night. One guard would patrol the galleries, so like walk around with a flashlight and a walkie-talkie,
Mm-hmm.
and the other one would sit at the security desk, and then they would like take turns
Yeah.
doing that.
Okay.
So, that's what is typical in like movies, I
Yeah, I
guess,
was gonna
right?
say Night of the Museum, Ben Stiller. That's what they
Yeah.
did. So.
Yeah, exactly. So, Rick was patrolling first that night, and he was just walking around doing his job. Um, and he's the one who had been working there for a while, so like he'd done this before, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, so fire alarms were going off, and he was walking around, he was trying to find the source, but he couldn't find where there was like a fire or smoke. So he went to the control panel and saw, like in the security room, and saw that it said that there was smoke in like one of these rooms, but he didn't see it when he was there. So he figured it was just like a malfunction and shut down the panel.
Oh, okay. I mean, I would probably think the same thing.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, he shuts down the panel, which is like, okay. And he went on patrol again, and then he stopped at the side entrance. And this is a little fishy. He opened the door and then shut it again.
I mean, like,
So,
could he have been looking just like outside?
I mean, yeah, I guess. He didn't, but he also didn't tell Randy that he did this. He was just like, I'm just gonna
Okay, Rick,
open
that's
the door, close it. And then he completed his patrol and switched with Randy at 1 a.m.
Okay.
And at 1:20 a.m., the thieves, who were dressed as police officers, they were at the side door.
Okay.
They rang the buzzer, which connected them to Rick at the security desk intercom, and they said that they were the police investigating a disturbance, and they needed to come in. And they said, like, oh, there's a disturbance because, it's St. Patrick's Day. There's, like, partiers or, I don't know, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe they were talking about, like, the fire alarms that went off or something like that. So he saw their uniforms on the camera, and he's like, okay, well, I guess they're police. I'm going to let them in. He didn't really know of a disturbance, but, he figured they're the police.
I mean, yeah, your immediate like response is like, okay, trust the police. Like,
Yeah,
they
exactly.
know.
Like, and it's your job. Like,
Exactly.
I don't know. I guess the uniforms they were using were pretty convincing. So,
Yeah.
so yeah, he let them in, and they asked if anyone else was in the building, and if they were to bring them down. So Rick called for Randy to come down and meet them at the security desk, and the fake police officers, they got Rick to get away from the security desk by saying something like, oh, like, you look familiar. I think we, like, I saw a warrant for your arrest or something.
What? Okay.
Yeah, like, he just made something up, I guess. But it worked. It got him away from the desk and away from the panic button.
Mm-hmm.
And they ended up handcuffing both guards. And at this point, I guess they probably realized, they're like, okay, these are not police.
Yeah.
And the robbers, they wrapped the duct tape around the security guards' heads and eyes,
Mm-hmm.
just so they can't see.
Yeah.
And took them to the basement and cuffed them to a steam pipe.
Wow, that's really extra, I feel like, but
Yeah. And do you want to know how fast this all went?
yeah, like what?
They really took them in less than 15 minutes.
Wow.
Like, their security was that bad.
I was gonna say it was either that bad or they were skilled or both.
Right. Like, it seems like it didn't really take that much, though. They just took
Yeah,
them.
they just walked in. They were like, all right, let's tie him up, get the pains, and let's catch McDonald's on the way out.
Right,
Like,
right.
They were chilling.
So they also took their wallets, so that they would have their addresses, and
Oh,
they said like, don't tell authorities anything, and in about a year you'll get a reward because we have your
yo.
address. We'll send it to you. It's
What?
like, it's a little fishy.
Okay, hear
Interesting.
me out. If I was that security guard, I'd be like, all right, bet. Because
Right, right.
like I would be happy about that, low key.
No, but honestly, like the way that they have never caught these people, maybe that's why like they don't have enough information because these guards actually didn't tell them anything
Yeah, I mean, I
or didn't
wouldn't.
tell them enough.
I mean, I wouldn't because first of all, they have the address not only for the reward later, maybe, but like also they could come kill you if they have your address. Like,
Yeah, true, true. I know, because you don't know who these people are. Like, I'll
exactly,
get to theories, but
exactly.
yeah,
Like I
not
wouldn't say
good
anything
people.
either. So I
Hmm.
can't blame them if they do know something.
Yeah. Okay, so let's get into more of the robbery. What do I have here? Okay. Sorry, I like lost my
It's
place.
okay.
Um, so the motion detectors showed like what rooms that they went in. Um, didn't really do much, I guess, you know. Uh, it showed that some of the rooms were untouched, like they didn't even go in them. And some of them they would like walk up to an item and then like turn around and like not steal it.
Mm-hmm.
So like it was kind of weird
So like
what
they
they
were like
stole.
looking for certain things.
Yeah, sort of, but also like they didn't, it's almost like they didn't know what they were trying to get because they left some things that were like more expensive on the
Oh,
wall, but then they would like go up to another one that was like not not a big deal and take it.
okay, that's just really weird.
Yeah, so it's like they didn't really know about art, maybe, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
It's either like they didn't know about art or maybe they knew if it was too valuable, they wouldn't be able to resell it.
Okay, that's a really good point too.
Cuz it's
Because I
like
was just gonna say, not that I'm ever planning on like pulling a heist like this, but like if you were to do that, who do you can't just go on like eBay and be like, "Hi, I have the Mona
right,
Lisa. Who wants
right.
it?"
Exactly.
Like,
Um yeah, so like people would know that it was stolen if it's like this big famous painting.
mm-hmm.
Mhm. So some of the things that they did steal, you might not know them by name, but I'll post some pictures.
Okay.
Um, there was The Concert by Johann Vermeer.
Mm-hmm.
Vermeer is like
Oh, I know
a
who that
really
is. Yes,
famous,
I know
yeah.
who that is.
He this painting is actually considered the most valuable stolen object in the world,
Wow.
and it's
That's
never been recovered.
that's wild. I'm gonna look it up just to see it for myself. What's it called again?
The Concert.
The concert.
And this is one that I've actually seen before. The Storm on the Sea of Galilee
Oh yeah, I've seen that one.
by Rembrandt.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so that's a really famous one too. And there were some others by Rembrandt and like some other famous artists.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and actually they have like empty frames still hanging in homage to these stolen
Oh wow.
paintings. Yeah.
That's sad.
Yeah, it wasn't just paintings either. It was also like this little figurine of an eagle. I don't know. It's just like
Um,
they just took random stuff almost.
that's just so weird. And it's also so weird that nobody knows where this stuff is.
I know. And it's like why take from this museum just cuz their security was bad? Like I
Oh,
don't get
like
it.
maybe were these people just like practicing for something bigger and they got away with it?
Ooh. That's a good theory. I
They're
didn't
like
even
maybe
think
let's
about
just
that.
start out with like this random art museum. Like maybe we get some good pieces, maybe we don't.
Mhm. Hmm. Maybe. Okay, so um did you look up the painting though?
Yeah, I did. It's kind of ugly. I mean, not no disrespect.
I know,
I
like
mean,
for
it's
it to
not
be the
ugly.
most
It's
valuable
just
thing.
yeah, exactly. It's just I'll describe it. It's like a picture of like three people standing near like a piano. So it's just like a
Yeah.
very basic picture. So that's crazy that it's like the most expensive, like, missing art piece.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, it is talented. Like, I could not paint that, so I'm not saying it's ugly.
Right. See, like, there's that too.
Yeah.
And so some of the more valuable artwork that was left untouched, like I said, like, it was stuff by, like, Michelangelo, Raphael, Botticelli, like, some famous artists, but they just, like, left it.
So weird.
It's just weird. So after they took all this stuff, they went to leave. They went to, like, they actually checked on the guards again. And then they erased. I guess they were, like, maybe seeing if they left or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
And then they went and erased footage of themselves on the security cameras from outside.
Smart.
And then they left, I guess, and then the next guards came on shift and called the police when they couldn't find Rick and Randy.
Were they still in the basement?
Yeah, the police came and found them in the basement.
That's so funny.
So, yeah. So, this case is unsolved, like I said. No arrests have been made. None of the art has been recovered.
Wow.
And the FBI took control of the case almost immediately just because, like, the art could travel state lines and, you know. There's, like, a lack of strong physical evidence. It's really just, like, what these guards said and, you know, people outside who might have saw them when they were, like, leaving a party. I don't know. So
I have a really solid theory.
Oh, yeah?
I do.
What
I
is
do. But I'm just like, I feel like maybe I should wait and save it until after you tell your theories.
Okay, yeah. So they also had, like, no real fingerprints that they could salvage. So they're, like, working off of nothing.
Yeah.
The FBI values the haul of, like, everything they took at $500 million.
Oh, my Lord.
And some art dealers estimate that it's about $600 million.
Oh, my God. That is so much money.
Yeah. It was the highest value museum robbery until 2019 when the Dresden Green Vault was robbed from.
Interesting.
I
never heard of that either.
Yeah, me either. So the museum is offering $10 million for information that will help them get the art back.
Oh, I can get the art back. I know who did it. Let me holler at this museum for my $10 million.
Okay. And this is actually the largest bounty ever offered by a private institution.
Wow.
So, yeah, get your money.
I need to go get it.
Okay, so we have some theories. Let's get into the theories. Let's see if you know what's really happening here, Taylor.
Okay.
So the first theory is actually Rick. He was suspicious because, you know, he opened the side door.
Yep, super
sus. Why did he do that?
And that's the one they came in from. Like, that's super weird.
Exactly. Like, people say he could have been signaling to the thieves out there, like, it's time to come in.
Yep.
But he said that he, like, routinely did that to see if the door was locked.
Yeah. I mean, also, I am also that kind of person. So I would do the same thing.
But one of his coworkers came back and said that if that were true, that he, like, just opened the door randomly, the supervisor would see that he does that and tell him to stop because, like, they're not supposed to do that.
Weird.
So
Rick is sus. That's all that means.
Yeah. But the FBI agent who was, like, investigating the guards, he said that they were too young and too dumb to pull it off. So he doesn't think they did it.
Well, I'm sitting here as the same age as them, knowing that I could probably pull it off because I'm a genius. So
right. So it's like maybe they actually did.
That was my theory, is that they did it.
Yeah, and, like, the FBI agent was just, like,
he brushed
doubting
them off
them.
too quick. Yeah.
Yeah,
That
and
no,
like
yeah,
they
that
just got away
because
with it.
that was my theory is that both of them were working together to do it, and then like they obviously just locked themselves up in
Yeah.
the basement. Because
See, my
I
my
don't know.
theory is actually that like it was Rick who was doing it, but like with his friends,
Mm-hmm.
and like his friends came in dressed like police and they like tied them all up,
Yeah,
but so like everything happened the way that they said it happened, but Rick
but
was
yeah,
like the guy who got them in and
yeah.
everything.
Regardless, Rick definitely played some sort of part of it. I feel like.
Yeah, I feel like it's a good chance he did, but it's all alleged.
Yeah, Rick, don't come for me.
Okay, so the FBI actually thinks that the robbery was planned by a criminal organization.
Interesting.
Um, which, I mean, that doesn't make Rick innocent. Like, I feel like he could
I
have
mean, he could be in
still.
the criminal organization.
Exactly. Um, so the first person they pointed to was this guy named Whitey Bu- Buell. I can't even say his name. Whitey Bulger. He was one of the most powerful crime bosses in Boston during the time.
Ooh, he was a crime
He,
boss.
yeah, he headed the Winter Hill Gang.
Okay.
And he actually denies any involvement, of course.
Obviously,
Um,
duh.
but he says that he wants to know who did it because it was done on his turf. And he's like, they need to pay me
True.
because, like, this was a crime. Like, you shouldn't have done this on my land. Like, you gotta pay me for it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know the logic behind that really, but I would probably be mad
That's
too.
like,
He
I
just
think
wants a
that's
piece of
like
the pie.
how these gangs work. They do stuff
Yeah.
like that. But I mean, I only know that from like movies.
Oh, sure.
Um, but they actually couldn't find any evidence to tie his gang to it, so they kind of just dropped it with him.
Wild.
So yeah. The next clue they got was in 1994. There was a letter written to the museum, actually.
Ooh.
So this letter was direct for the museum director, and it was somebody claiming to want to negotiate a return of the artwork.
Oh, snap.
They said that they were like a third party and they didn't know who stole it, but they were like helping them.
Hmm.
And they said that the art was stolen to reduce a prison sentence
Mm-hmm.
or something, but like it didn't work out, so they were going to return the art.
Okay,
which
interesting.
which is like what? um and they wanted immunity and 2.6 million dollars.
I mean, they were offering 10 million, so I guess.
Right.
But
Like
did they want it up front?
I don't know. I don't really know the details there. But they said like put this message in the Boston Globe, which is a newspaper.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to negotiate with us. So the director, they contacted the FBI, obviously, and they said, okay, go ahead and put it in the Boston Globe. And so they put it in, and the person who wrote the letter originally, they wrote another letter and said that they need to think about it because they like were nervous, I guess, and they never heard from them again.
Interesting. Okay.
So I guess they probably like were like, oh, I think they're probably going to the FBI. We gotta back out of this.
Yeah. Dang, I wonder if they really knew something.
I know, like, was it real or were they actually just like you said, they wanted the money up front and
Right.
they were just hoping they would just get money
Yeah.
and not have to.
Because if they do know something, that's sad. Like if they just didn't
Right,
say anything.
right. I think it's so risky to like have famous artwork just in your house like that, like
Yeah, that's super risky.
that's stolen. I don't know, it's just weird. It reminds me of the Blacklist, though.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, so I have more theories. I could go into deeper like dive deeper into these theories, but like we don't have time for that. I'm just gonna go over these a little bit.
Okay.
So it could be the Boston Mafia.
Mm-hmm.
There is a theory that gangster Bobby Donati organized the robbery to negotiate for his capo's release from prison.
Okay.
So yeah, maybe.
Possibly.
And he was actually murdered a year after the robbery took
Oh,
place.
snap.
So,
Hmm.
yeah. And there is another theory that it was stolen by a gang in Dorchester, which is a city, or it's a neighborhood in Boston.
Okay.
But they deny all involvement, even though they've been like offered reward money and like reduced prison sentences and even freedom for some people.
Wow.
But they're like, no, we didn't do it.
Or they don't
So
want to
yeah.
snitch.
Yeah, see, that might be it. But
Dang.
yeah, there's like no real answer to this.
You know I hate that.
Yeah. But like who do you think did it after all of
Rick.
that?
Rick. No doubt in my
Just
mind.
him?
No.
Him
No.
with like a gang or
I kind of don't think it was a gang because I feel like if it was a gang, they would have taken the bigger pieces because they could have pinned it on like some of the lower gang members, you know,
that's
if
true.
they went down. I feel like it was like Rick and his friends and possibly even Randy.
It's so crazy that if it was him though, like how did they get away with it that easily?
Because I mean, the FBI was like, they're so stupid. Like,
Yeah, that's true.
I feel like did they even look at them? I don't know. Also,
I
sometimes
mean, they did
stupid
a
people
little
are
bit,
really
but
smart like that, you know?
yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, is that who you think did it or what?
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I think sort of
Yeah.
happened too. I don't know. It's just
Hard.
yeah, it's just crazy like never getting to know what happened. But there is actually hope. I saw a little thing that said they could be closer to solving it because of like developments in like DNA
Ooh, I hope so.
analyzing, but that depends on if there's good enough samples, you know.
True. Yeah. Ooh, I hope so. I would love to come back with an update.
I know, because like all the technology advancements since 1990.
Exactly. Like so many.
Yeah. Yeah, so maybe one day I'll be on here and I'll tell you who did it.
Yay.
Or
Let's
maybe
hope.
they'll find it because like there's proof out there somewhere.
Exactly. I mean,
Unless
the paintings are somewhere.
but yeah, exactly.
Crazy. That's so crazy. Well, so you chose a mystery, but I also chose a mystery this week. So we're just going to be left with so many more questions than we all came here with. So, you know, I'm just going to go ahead and get right on into it.
Okay, I'm ready.
I covered the legend / mystery of the Yuba County Five.
Oh,
Dun, dun,
I don't even
dun.
know where that is.
Well, okay, so Yuba County is in California.
Okay.
So there is like literally so much information to the story, so I'm just gonna jump right on into it. So the Yuba County Five were all five, obviously, young men from Yuba City, California. And actually, all five of them had mild intellectual disabilities or psychiatric conditions.
Oh,
So
okay.
that's important to keep in mind. But like these guys were like a group of friends. They like met through like this like program that their parents put them in to like play sports together with other like mentally disabled people. So
Okay.
that's how they all met. And so they loved basketball so much. So on the night of February 24th, 1978, these five men attended a college basketball game at California State University. So gonna get into the men. So we got Bill Sterling, my boy Bill, was 29.
Okay.
Jack Hewitt was 24. Ted Weir was 32. Jack Madruga was 30. And Gary Mathias was 25.
Okay.
And we're going to fast forward a little bit to saying that four of the men, Bill, Jack, Ted, and the other Jack. There's two Jacks, in case you missed it.
Okay, yeah, I did miss that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. They were later found dead on top of a mountain. And the fifth man, Gary Matthias, has never to this day ever been seen or heard from again. Dun, dun,
no.
dun. So, yeah. We're going to get into, like, the middle of what happened and what could have possibly happened. But there's a lot of questions that I don't have the answers to. So,
Okay, well, I'm ready to make my own answers.
Yeah. So, so they did end up going to the game at California State University. They watched the whole game. Like, witnesses said, like, yeah, whatever, they were there the whole time and they left. And once they got in the car to go back home, none of them were ever seen alive again. So people did watch them get in their car, but they were never seen again. So, several days after their, like, first disappearance, the group's car, which was a Mercury Montego, was found abandoned in a very, very remote area of the Plumas National Forest. And the car was literally on this, like, really, really high mountain dirt road that was, like, way, 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 way far out of their way, like, going back home from the game. Because, like, they were all supposed to go back home after the game. And they were, like, super duper far. Missing, and their car is just on top of this random mountain.
See, why does this give me, like, Dyatlov Pass
Dude, okay.
vibes?
Savannah, you ruined everything for me.
Oh my god, I'm sorry.
This case is known as America's Dyatlov Pass.
See, that's immediately what I got from it.
Yeah. So, I'll have it later. Yeah, okay, so if you haven't listened, I also covered the Dyatlov Pass story on episode 31, so go listen if you want to hear that story. It is similar to this, but also a little not. But yes. So, we already have the question of what the heck were they even doing out there? Like, they were supposed to just go home. And they were so far away. And no, I didn't look how far, but they were not close. So, but what's even more strange than the car being in literally the middle of a mountain just randomly, was that the car was in perfect shape. Like, could have, like, first of all, started. It was stuck in a little bit of snow. But the cops said they so easily pushed it out of the snow, like, they barely had to try. And it started fine.
Okay, so it's not like they got stuck or like their car shut off or something.
No. So the car was fine, completely fine. And so this happened again, if you missed it, in February of 1978, and there was absolutely no word until June of 1978 when all of the snow had melted off the mountain and 4 of the men's bodies were found in and around a trailer camp that was used by, like, backpackers as, like, shelter deep in the forest. Like, it was 20 miles from the car.
What?
Yeah.
That's insane. Wait, they walked 20 miles?
20 miles. Yeah. So, at the time, only bones were left of 3 of the bodies in the woods.
Oh, no.
So, it's hard to keep up with. So there's 5 total men. 4 of them are dead. 1 of them is missing forever.
Okay.
And 3 of them were found, like, their bodies were found actually in the woods. And 1 of them was found in the trailer. So we'll go into a little bit more of the trailer later. But for right now, for the 3 bodies that were found in the woods, they were all, like, only bones because of, like, scavengers, and obviously that had been almost 6 months, so there was nothing much left of them. But when it comes to the person in the trailer, who was actually Ted, rest in peace to Ted, they had proof that he had lived at least 3 months after the men were last seen.
Okay, why? Why were they there? Why was he there?
Literally, I don't know. I don't know that answer.
What?
Yeah, so there's proof, and we'll get into the proof a little bit later, that he survived at least 3 months. So February, March, April, May. So he at least made it to May before dying, and his cause of death was that he starved to death.
I was gonna say, like, was there food in there?
But
Also, were there
yes,
any other people in the trailer?
there was no other people in the trailer, but even though he died of starvation, there was an ample supply of food and heating materials in the trailer.
Oh my god. This is
Um,
insane.
I know. And also, he was missing his shoes, Ted, and they were found. They were never found, ever. Ever. And actually, Gary's shoes. So, Gary's the one that was not found dead and was never found again. So, Ted's shoes were gone, never to be seen again. And Gary's shoes were actually found in the woods nearby. So that kind of suggests that Gary also survived from at least 3 months because, I mean, he must have taken his shoes, right? Like, there's no other, like, where else could his shoes
Okay.
be? So, yeah. A witness actually ended up coming forward a little bit later, and it was actually this, like, local man who said that he had spent the night, like, the same night that they, like, went up there, in his car, a short distance away from like where their car was found. And the reason that he had stayed in that night in his car was because he was actually having a heart attack. So
Oh my god.
yeah, and so there was snow. I did mention there was a little bit of snow. So he was actually driving home and he was having a heart attack. So he had to stop his car and literally just sit there. And this was like 1970, so he didn't really have a cell phone. He was on this mountain, so he just had to park his car and have a heart attack, low key.
Yeah, and just hope he doesn't die.
Yeah, and well, he didn't. So
Yeah.
good for
There
him.
he goes. Okay.
And so yeah, it did. He was able to drive home, but he said that like as he was spending the night in his car, he couldn't really move either. Obviously, he was scared and was having a heart attack. But that he had seen and heard people around the car that night, and on two different times he had heard somebody call for help. But then it just became completely silent, and all of the lights went out, and he never heard him again. And he called out to them too for help, and nobody ever came. So, because obviously he needed help.
Right.
But yeah. So this story, and plus like kind of how the bodies were found, led investigators to believe that this was like possibly foul play and not really an accident.
Yeah.
Just because there's just some really weird stuff going on. So
See, I'm starting to make my own theory here.
I have so many theories because honestly, I just don't know. But now I'm going to get a little bit more into the background of Gary Matthias. I don't actually know how to say his name, but he's the one that did not die, who is missing.
Right.
So he was actually stationed in West Germany as part of his U.S. Army service in the early 70s. And while he was stationed there, he actually developed a really serious drug problem. So, and he actually did so many drugs while he was in the Army that he was eventually diagnosed with schizophrenia.
Oh no.
And then he was discharged to live with his parents while also like continuing treatment like at this local mental hospital for the rest of his life. So he had some really bad problems. He ended up getting arrested multiple different occasions for having like psychotic episodes. And eventually that led him literally like having to go to this outpatient like treatment center every single day. And that's how he ended up meeting them, the other boys, because they were like, Gary, this will be good for you to meet some people who are like you and, you know, play sports, get out your anger that way.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Just like have some friends.
Exactly. And then once Gary joined, the five of them started being known as the boys. Like around town, like everybody was like, yeah, the boys, and they were talking about them.
That's so sweet. Like that just makes it even more heartbreaking.
I know. So, autopsies were done on the bodies, obviously, because what the heck happened? And it showed that Jack and Bill, one of the Jacks and Bill, died from hypothermia. Let me see. So the investigators like searched the area long and hard, obviously, like hiked all around to see if they could find anything, any evidence, and literally nothing. There was literally nothing to be found, and they presumed that Gary had not been taking his medication. So, and I don't really know why they presumed that, but they just did. Because I think from the beginning they kind of thought Gary did this.
See, I feel like they always want to blame it on somebody who has something. Like,
Exactly.
because was he the only one who had schizophrenia?
I don't actually know. I don't think he was the only one that had schizophrenia, but I think just the fact that he did have it and he was also never seen again, like it does not look good for him.
Yeah, yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
like I
And they
can't
always want to like pin it on somebody
exactly
just because like they say it's a dangerous thing. But I
disease. Yeah,
mean,
it's
I guess I don't know if he was or not, but it's just a stereotype that
it's just a
schizophrenic
stereotype.
people are
Exactly,
violent.
exactly, exactly.
But
So,
I don't know.
but I guess we'll see what we think of at the end here.
Yeah.
But so they presumed that if he hadn't been taking his medicine, he's definitely not taking his medicine now. So the
True.
FBI and the CIA distributed his photo all around the entire United States in every mental institution, specifically because they were like, he's going to need his medicine to
Right.
survive. He was never seen at anywhere. Still to this day, has never been seen. So that's that's that makes me lean one way rather than the other.
Yeah.
So we're gonna go back to Ted, who was tragically found in the trailer. When he was found on a bed in the trailer with 8 sheets wrapped around him, like his whole body.
Okay.
Which is weird because his autopsy shows that he died of starvation and hypothermia. So, what makes me even more sad is that I presume Gary found him dead and then like wrapped him up so he wouldn't have to look at him. Because I really don't
Oh.
think Gary did this. I'm just going to go ahead and say that I really don't.
Yeah, I
Even though like
don't
all the
even know enough,
signs
but I don't
kind
think
of,
he did either.
yeah, like all the signs kind of are pointing it, but I don't think so. I really don't think so. So, anyway, but the craziest thing of all, as if none of this has already been crazy, is that Ted had actually lost almost half of his body weight. So the night that they went to the game, he was over 200 pounds, and he was 98 pounds when they found
Oh
him.
my God.
So like that's,
Can that even happen in that
I mean, it did.
little time?
I mean, it did. So
That's insane.
yeah. And they also found, which I think this is super cool science, like this is so cool. That the growth of his beard suggested that he had lived as long as 13 weeks at least from when he had last shaved.
Oh geez.
Because once you die your hair stops growing obviously.
Yeah.
So he had lived, I don't know, that's just crazy. Crazy, crazy, crazy. And obviously he was frostbitten really bad because that's partly how he died. And what else is strange is that all of his personal belongings were spread out on the table next to the bed. And he was wearing a very fancy velour velvety shirt and very lightweight flowy pants. But as I mentioned, no shoes. Weird. So at this point, the investigators are like, literally, what the heck is going on? They're just confused as to how Ted died because literally every single supply you could have ever needed was in this trailer.
See, and I feel like I need to ask the question, like, did he live by himself or did he have people helping him?
So all of these men live with their parents.
See, that's
So
another thing. It's like,
yeah,
what if
they
I
didn't
bet
know.
he didn't
They
know,
yeah,
like
it like none of them knew.
how to like care
Live.
for himself or how to do basic things. I mean, I don't
Exactly.
know.
Exactly. So yeah.
Or
That's
even to cook. Like if there's
exactly.
food there, what if he's probably just like, I don't know what to do with this. Or even, I mean, sometimes you'll have like a picky eater who like actually won't even eat anything, even if it's
Yeah, made for him. Yeah.
starving. Like even if you're starving,
Exactly.
they'll
So
just be
yeah.
like, I can't eat that.
And what's interesting is that there was wood, kindling, canned foods, and dehydrated food in
Okay.
there. So to me, that means also I can even hardly open a can due to personal issues. So
Oh, me too.
like
I can't
like
do it.
yeah. So like they probably couldn't open a can. And like dehydrated food, like you have to rehydrate it. Like I don't know, like that's complicated even for me to think about.
Yeah.
I
I
mean,
know.
so, just think about like where they were with their mental disabilities. Like, it's not that hard to think that they just didn't know how to do it, which is
Yeah.
really sad. And one thing actually that's been brought up a lot by Ted's family is they all say that he like lacked a certain common sense. And that's literally words from his family, not me.
Yeah.
Just saying. So they actually gave examples that he would often question like why they would need to stop at stop signs. And one time he was actually like he literally had to be physically dragged out of his bed because his ceiling was on fire. But he wouldn't get out of bed because he was worried about missing his job the next day. Like he was like, if I leave my bed, I won't make it to work.
What?
Like it doesn't make sense, but like that's just like the capacity of what his like that's how his brain
Yeah.
was.
Hmm.
So like basically his family just says like it's possible that he was like really really freaked out and then all of his friends were also dead and like I
Yeah.
mean like he was probably in shock. Like I
I
would
know,
be
it
in
really
shock.
puts it into perspective there.
I know. So yeah, and so also the the little bit of sketchy thing is that there is evidence to prove that Ted was not the only one in the trailer. And this is something I'm not really going too deep on because I could talk about this case for probably hours, but they're not sure who all was in the trailer and like who all made it to the trailer, but like two of them, Jack and forgot the other Bill, definitely did not make it to the trailer, but the other Jack and Gary and Ted possibly could have all made it to the trailer.
Okay.
So, don't know even what to do with that information, but Ted was not by himself in the trailer, at least to begin with. So, there's also that to consider because even though Ted, like maybe they weren't as mentally disabled as Ted, I don't really know.
Yeah.
So, anyway,
Right, like, okay, do you know who was driving? I need to go back to
that's
that.
what I don't. Okay, I actually realized as I already started, I did not even look who was driving.
Okay.
Um,
Because I would figure, like, if they know how to drive, they have some sort of capacity to,
yeah.
like,
Well, they all definitely have capacity. They like no, like they all had capacity. That's what is so confusing is that even though that they did live with their parents, like they were functioning like
yeah.
humans.
I mean, yeah. I
And
don't know, but you said
obviously,
this guy didn't even get out of bed when it was a fire in his
yeah,
house.
but that was also like when he was a kid. So I don't know, like not a
Okay.
kid, but like younger. I mean, like they were only like in their 20s and like early
Yeah.
30s. Like I don't know. I there's just so many different aspects to this. I just don't even know. And it's just so sad because
Yeah.
we
Hmm.
really just don't know. But let me see here. So, I know that was a ton of information. Little recap. Even though the police know the causes of the death for all of these men, they have no idea how or why. Like, to begin with, literally nobody could figure out, like, we can't forget, why were they even there to begin with? They walked
Right.
20 miles. You're telling me they have the capacity to walk 20 miles to find a trailer in the middle of the woods, but they are not going to be able to like start a fire in the fireplace or cook some food that's there? I don't know.
See, I kind of forgot about that. Like, why did they not just drive home?
Or at least drive to the trailer.
Yeah.
Like, or at least a little bit closer, 20 miles.
Hmm.
Like, I don't know. So, yeah, can't forget about that huge, weird thing going on. Um, some people believe that they could have accidentally taken a wrong turn, and that's how they ended up, like, on the road up to the mountain, because apparently that's just how this area works, is they could have easily taken a wrong road.
Okay.
So, like, I kind of think that probably happened, maybe. But the car was also fine. So why did they leave it to begin with? So that leads people to believe that there was a reason that they got out of the car. Um, like that they saw something, that they stumbled upon something, or that something happened at the basketball game that maybe these five guys witnessed and like on their way home, maybe like this is really a stretch, but this is just a theory that people believe is that like when they left the basketball game and saw something maybe that they shouldn't have, the people that shouldn't have been doing whatever could have followed them and like was trying to scare them, you know, and that's how they ended up lost. I mean, I feel like that is a stretch, but I mean, shoot, it's a possibility. I don't know why else they could be up there.
Yeah, that is. See, it's even more of a stretch when, like, do they have any proof of anything happening?
I mean, no, but it was like a huge college basketball game, like huge for the town. So like hundreds of people were there.
Yeah.
Like anything could have happened. Even like simply over a bet over the game. Like, I don't know. Like who knows? So yes, as I already said, this case is considered America's Dyatlov Pass. And I know, I mean, we've talked about it throughout the whole episode, but I just wanted to throw it in there, is that even though this is probably one of the wildest cases I've ever heard of, people mostly blame Gary and say that he like went on this rage and killed them and blah, 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 blah. And it was like his fault. And I really don't think it was Gary. In fact, I think Gary is also probably died out there and just wasn't found, you know?
Yeah, I think that's likely.
Because today, now, like, as we're recording this episode in 2022, Gary would be 68, about to turn 69. So it's possible that he's still alive. But the fact that nobody's ever heard of him since, nobody's seen him since, like, this is a very famous case. And I just feel like if he was still alive, we would have seen him by now.
Yeah, if he was still alive, I feel like he would have come clean.
Exactly.
Because, like, think about if he did go on, like, some sort of rampage because he had, like, a schizophrenic episode.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you, like, get out of it, I guess, and then you're probably like, okay, I did this.
Mm-hmm.
And they're his friends. Like, he would want to go and maybe turn himself in and, like, say he did something.
Exactly. So, but other people take that same logic and be like, well, maybe, like, once he got out of that psychotic episode, if he even had one, maybe he, like, realized what he had done, and that's why he wrapped Ted up so many times, and then he went and actually committed suicide himself. So that's another theory.
Yeah, I guess so.
So, I
don't know. Like, them being friends, though, is what gets it, because it's just, like...
Exactly. And, like, and also to say that he went on, like, they all died of starvation or hypothermia. Like, they weren't stabbed. They weren't, like, you know, like, they weren't killed. Like,
yeah. See, this is just so weird.
It's weird, and that's all that I have, and there's no more answers to anything.
No.
I know.
See, why do we do mysteries?
I don't know.
They're the worst.
So, but now, I'm going to be out on the lookout for my man Gary. And I'm also going to be on the lookout for them paintings, because I'm trying to get my 10 mil.
Yeah, definitely. I know. I wonder if they're still in Boston or like they're across the world by now, or I don't know.
Oh, I would say they are definitely not in Boston anymore.
Yeah, probably not.
I don't know where they are.
They're like in some crime boss's basement in Boston.
Yeah. Or just like in the crime boss's house, even.
Yeah, right. Right. All the police know that they're just like, we're not gonna,
Exactly. Any hoozles, that was a crazy, mysterious episode. I love that. As we always say, we always do this, Savannah. Our stories always line up some way, somehow.
I know. It's so weird. Like, we have such minds that think alike.
It is. It's so crazy. But check out our Instagram to see photos from our stories this week. You're definitely going to want to see some of that art that was stolen, even though it's not really what you would think would be stolen.
Yeah.
And rate and review us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Happy freaking New Year. New Year, new us, except for not really.
I know.
But yeah, I guess that's really all I have for this week.
Yeah. Happy 2022.
Happy 2022. See you next week.
Okay. Cue the music.